So it is related to measuring and managing the liquidity risk. So that is basically related to, it is covering two approaches. One approach is related to the stock approach and the other one it is related to the flow approach. Now stock approach is related to that we are having different different type of the levels of the assets and liabilities, or and also the off balance sheet exposures. So related to the assets and liabilities, we are having different exposures, and further based upon the volume, based upon the level of these, we can basically measure and manage the liquidity risk. Let us have a look at it. The first point it is covering, that is related to the ratio of core deposits to the total assets. Ratio of the core deposits to the total assets. So the core deposits divided by the total assets. Now what do you mean by the core deposits? Like in the case of the saving fund deposits and further in the case of the current account deposits, one part we are having the volatile part and the other part we are having the core deposit, and we need to basically cover the ratio core deposit to the total assets. So more the ratio, better it is, because the core deposits are treated to be the stable source of liquidity. So if you are having the stable source of liquidity, that is numerator is more, in that case you can sustain well. So this more the ratio, more better it is. Second, it is related to net loans to total deposit ratio. Net loans to total deposit ratio. So it reflects the ratio of the loans to public deposits. Ratio of loans to the public deposits. So whatsoever the deposits we are having against them, what amount of loans we have basically lent, that is related to that particular ratio. Total loans in this ratio represents what? It represents the net advances after deduction of the provisions. So whatsoever the provisions you have maintained for the loan losses and further the interest in the suspense account, that is to be subtracted from the gross loans, that will be your net loans, and divided by the total deposits. So loans are said to be what? Loans are treated to be less liquid assets, because you will be getting the repayment only and only when they will getting matured. Okay, so lower the ratio, better it is. So lower the ratio, better it is in the case of the net loans to the total deposit ratio. It can be asked in the exam itself related to the statement type questions, related to the 1 mark question, that is where they will be asked that this particular ratio is given and what would be the best scenario. Okay. Then the third one, it is related to ratio of time deposits to the total deposits. So the time deposits are basically what? Time deposits are related to the stable level of liquidity. So more the ratio, better it is. So more the ratio, better it is. Fourth one, it is related to the ratio of volatile liabilities to total assets. Volatile liabilities to the total assets. So volatile liabilities are basically related to what? These are related to the market borrowings, that are related to the market borrowings that are assessed to be and further compared with the total assets. You are going to compare the market liabilities or market borrowings with the total assets. Okay, so higher portion of the volatile assets will pose higher problems of liquidity. So if you are having higher volatile assets, what does it indicate? It indicates that there will be more amount that you cannot basically get back out of it. So that can basically cause more problems. So we can say simply lower the ratio, better it is. So we can say lower the ratio, better it is. Is that clear? So the numerator part must be as low as possible, and further lower the ratio, better it is. Fifth point, it is related to ratio of short-term liabilities to liquid assets. Now what are your short-term liabilities? Short-term liabilities are basically related to interbank liabilities. We can say interbank liabilities or interbank borrowings, we can say over here. So short-term liabilities are required to be redeemed as the earliest. So those are to be redeemed at the earliest, because these are those borrowings. These are those borrowings. Let us take the case where you have borrowed the amount under the call money or notice money. In that case, that is to be liquidated at the earliest. And further, you need ready liquid assets so as to meet the liability. You need the ready liquid assets to meet the liability over there. And further, it is expected to be lower in interest of the liquidity. So it must be as low as possible, because you must be having lower amount of the short-term liabilities that is not required, because more is the short-term liabilities, more ready assets you must be having, more ready liquid assets you must be having, so as to meet up the liability part. So for the fifth one, lower the ratio, better it is. Sixth one, it says ratio of liquid assets to total assets. So definitely every bank wants more liquid assets, so that if there is any stress situation, we can overcome that particular situation. So that will be related to what? Higher the ratio, better it is. Okay. Seventh one, it is related to ratio of short-term liabilities to the total assets. Ratio of short-term liabilities to the total assets. Same concept goes over there. Same concept goes over there. So it is related to what? It is related to the volatile part of the saving deposits and the current account deposits behind the core portion. So that is basically related to what? That is related to the volatile part. That is which basically available on demand. That is to be basically paid on demand. Likewise, in the case of the funds, which is there in the case of the saving fund deposit and in the case of the current account deposit, that is to be paid whensoever it is demanded by the public. That is basically related to what? That is related to the short-term liabilities. So basically, if you need to cover up those liabilities, you actually require ready liquid deposits. Okay, and that particular part must be lowered. That particular part must be lowered. So a lower ratio is desirable. And further, H part over here, it says ratio of prime assets to the total assets. Prime assets to the total assets. So prime assets are what assets? Prime assets which include the cash balances with the bank balances. Prime assets means those balances or those assets which are readily available or which are readily liquidable. Those are said to be your prime assets, such as the cash balances with the bank or balances with the banks, including the Central Bank of India, which can be withdrawn without any prior notice. So you can withdraw those prime deposits without any prior notice. That is said to be the prime deposit, and higher the ratio, better it is definitely. And further, I part, it says ratio of market liabilities to the total assets over here. So now market liabilities are related to what? Market liabilities are related to the market borrowings or the interbank borrowings that you have borrowed from the money market itself, and further that amounts to be repaid after a short period. So lower the ratio, better it is. And further, it is related to the flow approach. So we basically learned related to the stock approach in those particular cases, and further those were the 9 points over here there which we covered. And now it is related to the flow approach. So a framework for assessing and managing the liquidity through the flow approach is having the 3 major dimensions. What these are related to? First of all, it is related to measuring and managing the net funding requirement. That what is the net fund that we require so as to manage the liquidity risk. Second, it is related to managing the market access. And third one, it is related to the contingency planning. That is related to crystallize. If there is any stress event that crystallize, in that case, how you will be dealing with that. Third point is related to that. First of all, let us cover the measuring and managing of the net funding requirements, and that can be done through the gap method. We have already discussed gap method a lot, but let me remind you once again that if you are having the over the 1 month time horizon, we are talking about the 1 month time horizon where we'll be covering the residual maturity of the assets and liabilities which are going to be mature in the coming next 1 month. In that case, we will be saying that what amount the asset is going to be matured and what amount of the liabilities is going to be matured. Asset is basically related to the receipts we will be having, so the amount that we will be receiving, and liabilities related to the amount of the payment that is to be paid. That is basically related to what? The difference between these two over a same time horizon. It is said to be what? It is said to be the gap which is to be bridged. Okay, so if we are having more liabilities than the assets, in that case it's a negative gap, and further that is to be bridged out. In that case, whether it would be the case that we will be liquidating our non-liquid assets, or it may be the case that we will be having more short-term borrowings so as to bridge the gap. Is that clear? So it requires the preparation of the structural liquidity gap report. So in that case, we need to prepare the structural liquidity gap report. In this method, net funding requirement is calculated on the base of the residual maturity. So we look for what? We look for the residual maturity of the assets and liabilities, and further these residual maturities will represent the net of these residual maturities will be representing the net cash flow. That is a difference between the inflow. So inflow is related to the receipts, that is related to the asset part, and further the payments that is related to the liabilities part. The difference between these will be represented by the net cash flow. Okay, these calculations are based on the past behavior pattern. So from where we actually get the data, we will be getting the data that what amount of the assets will be basically the volatile and what amount of the data is basically non-volatile. We will be taking the concerned data from the past behavior, past patterns of the assets and liabilities, as well as related to the off balance sheet exposures. Is that clear? So cumulative gap is calculated at various time buckets. So various time buckets means the various time horizons. In this particular case, we considered 1 month. It could be related to the different time horizons, different time buckets, where we will be covering, where we'll be looking at the cumulative gap, where we'll be calculating the cumulative gap that is related to the net cash flow. Okay. So if we are having the more liabilities than the assets, in that case, it is a negative gap. And further, if you are having more assets than the liabilities, in that case, it is a positive gap. Okay, so it shows that a particular time after a week, it may be, or a fortnight, or a month, quarter, half year cash flow and inflow differences will be represented by the gap. So in the case of negative gap, as I already told you, the bank has to manage the shortfall through various sources. Either they will be liquidating their non-liquid assets, or it will be the case that they will be increasing their liabilities. Okay, by both the manners, we can basically do what? We can basically cover up the liquidity gap over there in that case. Okay. Now it is related to the analysis of the net funding requirements. It involves what? We will be basically constructing a maturity ladder. We will be basically constructing a maturity ladder. We will be looking at the different type of the assets and different type of the investments, and further different type of liabilities cumulatively over a time horizon, over a time bucket, where those are maturing, and further then we will be looking at the gap in between them. That is basically said to be what? That is said to be the maturity ladder. That is said to be the maturity ladder. Further, a bank's net funding requirements are determined by analyzing the future cash flow. We are working over here related to the future cash flow. We are not basically working related to the current cash flow, whether it is related to the next day, or related to the next week, or fortnight, or half year, or 1 month. Okay, so that is related to that particular part. That is related to the future behavior of the assets and liabilities. That is related to what is the residual future maturity of the assets and liabilities we are concerned with. Okay. Now these aspects will be elaborated under the following heads, that is related to the maturity ladder, alternative scenarios, measuring liquidity over the chosen time frame, and for the assumptions used in determining the cash flows. Let us have a look at it. Okay, so first of all, it is related to the maturity ladder. A maturity ladder should be used to compare the bank's future inflows and further bank future outflows, and we will be looking at the difference between them. Cash inflows arise from the maturing assets, from where you will be receiving the money. That is basically related to the inflows. So whatsoever your maturing assets are there, that is it may be the case that you have investment money into the stock, investment money into the stock market or the capital market. In that particular case, you will be receiving that particular amount of sum after the maturity itself. And also in the case of the credit, if we look at the credit side, that is also related to what? That is also related to the assets. In that case also, you will be receiving the money whensoever the installments will be due. That is related to the residual maturity na, and that case basically those will be your cash inflows. And if we look at the cash outflows, that is related to the part of amount that is to be paid after maturity. Let us take the case that your fixed deposits are going to be mature in that particular 1 month. In that case, those will be related to your outflows. Is that clear? And further, let us have a look at the picture over here that is related to the, that is related to what? That is related to the cash inflow and outflow, that is related to the maturity ladder over here. So over here we are having the amount of inflows for day 1, and further the amount of outflows for the day 1, and further this is the amount that we will be receiving, that is related to inflows, and the amount that we will be paying, that is related to the outflows. Again, for the different time brackets, the data is given over here. And further on the very right over here, that is related to the excess or shortfall, it is mentioned. So it is related to the difference between these two. It is related to the difference between these two. So we are looking at the amount, if the assets amount that is related to the inflows amount is greater than that of the liabilities amount. In that case, basically we will be having the excess of the amount that is related to the positive gap. And further, if the liabilities are more, as per in the case of the first example over here, in that particular case your liabilities are more than that of the assets, in that case we are having the shortfall over here. So that is related to maturity ladder over here. So that is just a example related to it. So closure the gap, the larger gap gets. So closure a larger gap gets, more difficult it is to offset. So if you're looking at the gap that is going to be due on the very next day, more difficult it will be for you so as to manage the funds, because it may be the case that you will not be able to get the funds at the reasonable cost. Okay, in that case, what it does, it indicate that you're not having adequate liquidity. Okay, so because that is the risk over there, na, that if you are borrowing the funds from the market itself, you'll not be able to borrow those funds at the reasonable price. Okay, so that is related to the liquidity. So more closure the gap it gets, more difficult it is. What does it mean? It basically indicates that over the longer time horizons, you will be having more flexibility with you, that you will be having the options so that you can fill out the gap over there. Okay,